Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to another episode of Keigo, Moriyama Photography. And today we try again one more time with this camera because as you probably have seen in the last video, I have fried the motherboard. And I was talking with one user on YouTube, exactly Brian Segara. I hope that the name is correct, the pronunciation is correct, and he suggested to bypass completely the motherboard. He said that in the modification that he usually did, he automatically connected the push button for the shutter button directly with the motor, bypassing directly the motherboard. That means when you click and key push the shutter button, automatically the engine will move and the picture will come up. So because our project was failed and the motherboard was burnt, let's try to bypass the motherboard itself, connect the motor to the shutter button directly, and see if we can avoid the issue that the camera is not working anymore, and try to save it so that we can proceed in a certain way with our project. So let's check it out together. So we say that we should bypass the motherboard itself, and if we check out here, the button for the shutter, it's this red and blue cable. So we should let this one trigger the motor directly, as well as we should understand where the plus and minus are coming from the battery, in order to connect that one directly with the motor, and in between put the shutter button here so that we can use the shutter button to control the engine, the motor here. Okay, so in order to do that, I need to understand which part is the plus and which part is the minus. So these two things here, the black and the red cable here, we have to we have to remove it, and we have to connect this one with our switching button. Just one of two should be okay probably, and then connect them to the plus and minus here on the motor. And the best way to do that, I wonder if I should remove even this part, honestly. I would like to avoid to lose all the different parts here. That would be the worst. So with no further ado, we can cut directly this cable here, because we don't need them anymore. There should be this one here, so we don't need them anymore for the motherboard. That would be the first things we should do. So let's start, make the soldering warm, and first of all let's unsolder. I don't know how to say that word in English, but let's remove these two cables from here. Two of them will be connected to the motherboard here, and two will be connected here. I don't know exactly why, but let's see. Hoping that this time I will be not electroshocked. One, two. I don't know what the other are, but because I'm here, let's remove directly. Okay, and this is one, and then we remove this. Let's remove even this one. Okay, and we can take out all of the cables here. We don't need them. And remove even this one from the motor itself. Because it's the switch that we are not going to use anymore, probably. And this is the cable of the switch that is going here. So we are going to also here and try to remove the red one as well. Okay. Okay. Now that we have removed all the cable, we have to connect them with the motor and the battery. So let me think what should be the best way to do that. Let's first of all try to make the cables a little bit better. Okay, make a little bit more space for when we have to solder them. Oh, they are really small. I think it will be pretty difficult for me to manage all of this. Wow, probably this is too much. All of this soldering stuff, but yeah, we want to give it a try. Here too. Okay, this is better. So one of the shutter, one cable of the shutter needs to trigger the battery. So let's say that we can put, for example, the positive of the battery connected together with the positive. Okay, I have another idea. Let's try to draw how the connection should be. We have here our, of course, when you need a pen, it's not always working properly. We have our battery here with positive and negative. Then we have our motor with positive and negative. We don't know exactly. We need to double check that we connect it properly in order to avoid that it spin on the opposite side. And then we have our shutter button. Let's say positive and the negative. So we need to be able to circuit this one. So what happens if I connect? I'm not electrician, so I'm trying now. Hope to don't burn everything. So one of the battery will be connected directly with the motor here. One will be connected with the switch and the other one will be connected with the battery. So that when we push, the electricity will pass through and will help to move the engine itself. So if we go back based on this really rough schema, we have our motor here and we have to connect one part of the motor with one cable here. Let's connect these two together. And let's try to solder, because as you see it's not perfect. So let's try to solve them out. One, then let's try to put the two together in a certain way. Again, I'm not expert at all in soldering stuff, so I'm trying to make some improvisation. I hope that you guys are more expert than me, so this operation will be easier. But again, we are trying, we are learning, and let's see how it will be. We are warming again the solder gun. Okay, it's getting warm. That's when I really don't like my soldering skill. For this reason, I'm not good, absolutely. Okay, so after we connect the first, we need to connect the second cable directly with the battery on the other pole. That in this case will be no, anyone is okay, not changing that much, I think. Let's try to connect with the red one, so that we are going then to connect the black cable directly with the motor. So we have one connected directly between the motor and the switch, and we already made it. The next step is to connect the switch with the battery. Let's remove these two. Kind of. I'm sure that if my father sees my horrible way of soldering, he will feel so upset. But again, as I say, we are learning, so it's kind of accepted. So last step that we have to do is to connect the other pole of the battery directly to the motor here. So let's open this just a little bit more. And of course outside there is lots of noise. I hope that it will not affect directly the audio here. So we are ready now for our last step, hoping nothing will happen, nothing wrong will happen. We are going to solder the battery directly to the motor. Okay, done. Now, if no problem, the camera should move the motor properly in a way that the lever inside will extract the film. So let's try. Let's put the battery, 1 and 2. Let's close. And guess what? Nothing happened. I'm wondering why. Oh, wow. I was surprised. Yes, it works, so. But the problem is that we, as you can see, is moving the lens. That is exactly what we don't want. So it means we have made a mistake with the motor. Mistake means we have to change the two cables so that the motor will spin on the other way. Let's remove the battery because we need to be safe. Let's rewarm the gun here, and let's start removing the first cable that is connected with the motor. And let's remove the second one. And we need to put this time this one on the previous spot. Okay, and the one that we had removed, we are going to put back. Let me try to make a little bit more. Let me show a little bit more of the cable inside. This is not the best ever, but it's okay. We will clean a little bit. Okay. And we are ready to solder in the other spot. It's here. It's not working yet. Probably need a little bit of solder stuff here, and then I can try to solder back. I don't know, you guys, but I really feel like soldering is so difficult. I'm really not able to get what I want. Do you have any suggestion or recommendation on how to solder? Please let me know in the comment below. Okay, it should be okay this time, probably. So again, if everything is working properly, this time we are not going to have the lens moving, but the lever that eject the film. So let's put back the battery, and let's put back our shutter button, and if we push it, yes, it's moving the lever. You can see here. Let me try to make it closer to you. So look this part. You see the lever that is moving? So seems that this solution it works. So what we have to do now is, of course, close the camera finally, And then I want to make yes, exactly, better the soldering part here, and cover a little bit this cable with some tape, so that will be a little bit safe. And because we don't need, I will remove these two cable as well. Even if I'm honestly thinking that because we bypass the motherboard, we can probably try to utilize this one, but it has the same issue. Okay, now let's directly remove one, remove two. Yeah, it's not the best way to remove, but it's okay. So let me solder back this part to the engine and to the motor, and then I will wrap up the cables and will show you directly the final result before closing it. Okay, so I have wrapped up all the cables. I put the tape at the edge of the cables that I have solder, and now the only step, as I said, is to put everything back.